Hi, I'm Teresa Chang.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann McCara.
Hi, I'm Felicia Grant Cummings.
Hi, I'm Kim Johnson with Moms Navigating Autism.
Hi, welcome to Moms Navigating Autism. I'm Teresa Chang.
Kim Johnson.
Mary Ann McCara.
Brenda Torres.
Felicia Grant Cummings.
Exciting news. Actually, some really exciting news. We have another mom joining us as a co-host. Her name is Brenda Flores, and we are excited to welcome her into our Moms Navigating Autism family. And why don't we have her say a little bit about her and her autism story?
So I adopted my child, which is my brother-in-law's daughter. And she was born with TS. TS is tuberous sclerosis and is a rare disease that she had gotten from her mom. And that's where the autism part comes, and it's severe. She was born with TS. TS is tuberous sclerosis, which is in her brain, vision, skin lesions, and her heart. She had open heart surgery when she was born. And after she was born, then after that, she had brain surgery. Not only once, she had many brain surgeries because they wanted to remove the tuberous. It's not a tumor, it's a tuberous that is in her brain, which they removed it in NYU. And ever since, she's been fine. And then when she turned 1 year old, that's when she started having seizures. And she's been having seizures all the way until she had the other brain surgery again. So this child she's been through a lot. I mean, so it's emotional for me to talk about it because it has been years I haven't been on to tell my story. And like I said, it's like so emotional to talk about it. So if I start like tearing, it's okay, you know.
It's okay. We all have our moments.
So we all went through a lot. I was working. I was a mother of two already. I already had 2 kids. And I had another child. Now I'm pregnant. So it's like having Irish twins in my home. So now I'm pregnant with this other, with my child, and I'm carrying all over the doctor's appointments. NYU, I have to go all the way to the city. I lived in Peekskill. And after I worked at Head Start, I'm a teacher myself at the Head Start program when I worked at Peekskill. And I had to catch a train, go to the hospital at NYU, and go back to work. And then I leave my family. I left my kids at home with my mom and my husband. And after that, she goes home with us, and it's not successful. Her brain surgery didn't go. Then she catch meningitis in her brain, because when they opened her up, they had to map it first before the surgery. They have to open her up, map her brain to determine where is the tuber. So when they went in there, she caught meningitis. So they had to reopen her up again and to take out some liquid out of her the brain. So she was in the hospital from July to October this whole time. And then we had to stay at the Ronald McDonald's house. They were good. They were very good to our family, and we were going back and forth. So it's not easy. It was not an easy thing for the child. It was very hard. And that's when she was 1 year old. Everything started at 1 year old. And then that's when everything went downhill with the brain surgery and the seizures. And then after that, she started getting older. and we went to try to find her schools. So she was going to all these schools that they would never know what Maritza has, because she is not only autism, she has also severe other health impair, like other issues besides seizures. She besides the seizures, the TS, the autism, she couldn't speak, she couldn't walk, so she had OT, PT, speech, she had everything. A home health aide, we had it, you name it, we all had it at our house. So it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a big thing.
Wow. I know, because I met you guys when she was at the Walden School, correct? She was at a school, and finding a placement for her was very hard.
Right. We had her in a lot of schools in Terrytown, Sleepy Hollow, Elmsford. Like we had it, and
Right.
they were trying to figure out what.
Right. They all didn't know, which most school districts don't. They're not doctors. They can't tell you, this is what your child has, regardless of whether they suspect it or not.
Right.
And I don't think anybody, even if they suspected anything, they even knew what it was.
She's 15 now. And then that's when we decided that we're getting older. Now my girls are older. Now my first daughter, she's my first child, she's 25. We have a 22 going on 23. A grandma. My grandbaby she's 5 years old. And then after all these girls, then I get a fourth charm. It was stressful. Not only it was stressful, but the thing was that you couldn't see your family. Don't forget that in between, I had a daughter, my own child, that I couldn't see because I was taking care of my other child. And yeah, it was tough. It was not easy. It was a long, a journey. It was, but
Okay.
we did it. I didn't give up.
Some of us here have our kids in residential placements, appropriate placements, correct. As a parent, how did you feel when you had to make that decision? Because I know if mind you, it's the right decision. It would have, if I had to place my child there, but as a mom, it would be tearing me.
It was hard. Yes, it was very heartbreaking. It's very hard. It was a very hard, it's like not even hard. It was a tough decision.
Right.
Like a tough.
But
it was the best interest for her.
Right.
Especially for her, because not only she had the tuberous sclerosis and the autism, but she will fight me, she will hit me. So I was like her punching buddy. She would escape. We had locks in her house. We were in jail, and we were getting CPS calls, and no one was helping us. And then she can't talk. So if she left the house, she AWOLs. We would never find her.
Right.
If somebody would find her for us, or God forbid, we would have lost. That's how hard it was.
Well, as our son grew older, it grew more and more difficult to keep him contained within the house, because he would leave the house. He could be a danger to himself. So part of the reason for a residential setting was that it would be safer for him.
Right.
Also, as he grew older, he could be aggressive, and he has 2 younger siblings, and a residential setting at that point was more appropriate for him and for the whole family, because now we can visit with him, and he will visit home. He was just home at Christmas for a week, and it was just, for the entire family, it was the best choice. This is not to say, of course, that it was not a very emotional choice that, we don't, we definitely felt a gap, in the family at dinner times, and we missed him, but we know that we can always visit with him, even if it's over Zoom, which it looks like it may have to be for the next month or so because, of the COVID issue. But I mean, we went for, I think it was 9-10 months without visiting in person. And that was really hard because we wondered about his welfare. He's not verbal. So, he can't tell us how he's doing.
Right.
So it was difficult.
Mhm.
It was a difficult decision, but it was the right decision. And we thought better to do it in his early years rather than wait till he was, let's say, 25 or 30 and then try to, do that transition. We figured the earlier he went into a residential setting, the better it would be long-term.
There's a family that I know, and it's seen similar situation, what you described, Marianne, about your son. And a woman that I know, her son also, as he got of a certain age and a certain size, he was just more aggressive when he would get frustrated. And it became, just very troublesome to the family. They love the son and they want him close and nearby, but the aggressive behaviors were really, such a barrier and such a problem. And also because they had senior members in the household, like the grandfather, and sometimes the child would strike out and not meaning to, but strike out, and then it just became a concern. And when I found out that the mother had made the decision, the next time that I saw her, I just hugged her. And I said, I heard that you had to make a really tough decision. And I said, but I'm proud of you. And she looked at me and she just melted and she just started to cry. And she said, it was so hard and I feel like people judge me. And I said, they're not in your shoes. They can't judge you because they're not walking in your shoes. And, I just felt the need to really encourage her, in her decision and to just support her, because I couldn't imagine making that decision. But if you have to make it, you have to make it. And it's just what I think Brenda said. It's the choice that is best, for the child. You have to make the choice that's going to be best for the young person, and, I just think that a lot of parents need that support. And it's so important to be able to give that support. I hadn't walked in her shoes, but because I knew the situation she was in, I just felt I could offer some support. And she was so grateful, for just having someone to just support her, just to support her and encourage her.
I'm in
That
those
was good.
shoes, but that's not my decision. But it's not for me to judge anybody for that. Because again, if I had to make that decision, I don't even know how I could do it, because how you guys do it, the strength that you guys have for that,
Right.
I can't judge anybody on that.
Or
I
the
mean,
strength that you had
People,
last
people
year.
do it. They ask me that all the time. Well, what are you going to do? He's getting bigger and he's stronger and he pulls your hair and he lashes out. But it's not like an everyday thing. It's not like a nonstop all the time thing. And as of this moment, I'm able to handle that. And as long as I can, I'm gonna. But again, I don't judge somebody for the reasons why they do it or they can't handle it. I mean, that's just me. Just like it's somebody's decision to have their child go there. But again, I do question sometimes when people say, "Oh, what are you going to do?" It's probably the best thing for him. I don't know. Am I being unfair by not doing it either? So I mean,
Well, they
I have to
offered.
deal with that also.
Right. Well, they
saying?
offered. Peekskill School District offered Edwin and myself. They said, listen, Mr. Flores, Ms. Flores, there's nothing that we can do for her. There's no other schools. They tried every school everywhere, everywhere. So I said, where else can we put her? And that's when Anderson came up. They said there was a placement up in, no, there was another one. Oh, what was the name? It's two.
Deborah.
It was Discovery. It was Discovery. It was Discovery what?
Center for Discovery?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was that one.
It
That
was
was
that
one,
one,
which
yeah.
I went up there and I loved her. She loved it. She was in the waiting list. And then it was Anderson from Autism. That's the one up in Rhinebeck, up at
Right.
Poughkeepsie. And there was no other schools for her because she couldn't go to Peace. I wish she would have went to Peekskill. She went to Blythedale. She went to Park School when she was elementary. You named all them elementary, you name it, she went to. But then she started self-injuring,
Right. We had
head
some of that
bumping,
too.
head
Mhm.
bumping. She would walk around with like
helmet.
a
The
helmet.
Yeah.
My son has a helmet too.
She'll bite herself. She'll self-injure. She'll start taking her clothes off in the middle of the mall, the store, the outside where
And
we're
that's
walking.
censoring,
She's
yeah.
she's taking her so now she's doing other behaviors, and I had other children as well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So we didn't know. We were learning. We were learning as
Right.
she was
Right.
getting older and older. Now it's getting tougher. And that's when she started self-injuring, hitting us, pulling our hair. She will run outside. She'll escape. She'll hide.
They like
Then
the
we
face.
hide.
They like the reaction they get when they go for your face. Grab your
Yes.
face, your throat, your hair. That's his zone.
Right. And then I had to restrain her. We used to take a towel and we used to learn like to do things we don't know. We didn't know what was going on, and to protect her and hold her down. And my husband, myself, it was like a man, and it was hard. It was tough.
My son, I can't get him on a scale, but he's got to be at least 250 pounds. So now, like, if I sat on his arms and hands, like, I'm not gonna do nothing to him anymore. But
She's 6
thank God we don't
feet.
get
She's
there.
tall.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
big,
he's big.
and
He's my
big. And then
Yeah, no.
excessive of eating. We used to lock our refrigerators. Like I said, if I tell
I
my
have baby
story,
locks on the closet still.
we used to lock the closets, put the knives away. We used to put cameras in our home, cameras. Now we're getting to a point like, okay, what's going on here? And then she used to have excessive disorder of eating. So her brain doesn't tell, like she's not full. So she'll eat and eat and
Chips
eat. And we were
stuff.
like, oh my
Everything
gosh.
crunchy. Yeah.
She'll eat everything. And then it was bad. It was to a
So she
point
was
like,
never
oh my
tasty.
gosh, it was like devastating. What do you do? Like, what do you
It's
do?
hard. It's
You
hard.
know, I remember going to your house, the first time I think I went to your house
Who, Brenda?
and to talk, Brenda's house in
Uh-huh.
Peekskill, because I remember I was her advocate.
Okay.
And so Edwin lets us into the living room and he's sitting there talking, and I look over towards your dining room by your kitchen. There was a hole in the wall. And I remember Edwin goes, oh no, your daughter did that. And I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
she'll do head. Yeah, she'll bump her head.
Like
She'll
like
go
this.
through.
He sits
She
and he
bang.
did it.
Yeah, she'll bang her head anywhere.
She
She
My
can go
banged her
through
son's
son's
room
wall.
is padded.
through a window. She can do anything. She doesn't know
Right.
how to cross the street. She'll go. A car can run. So it was safety. There was a lot of safety concerns.
Right.
It was
Those are what concerns,
My son
right?
are very similar.
endangerment for herself, not only for us, for herself. My concern
Right.
was she's going to hurt herself.
Right.
And she can't take
And
a
every
shower by herself.
bang, right. And every bang on the wall, what she's doing internally to her head, you don't know what effect that's
No.
going to have.
My son didn't do it like he would sit there. The one hole that he put in the wall over there, it was just from rocking, and it's just sheetrock. So
No,
it's slowly
Maritza, no
dented.
rock.
No.
Yeah, it slowly dented it. So we put wood and the pads like for the floor, the play mats. His whole wall, it's decorated in blue and gray squares. So because he would like to lay on the bed, and he likes to run his feet on the wall and feel it with his sensory. Run his feet and feel the wall, and then he'd be like, yeah, and kicking. And it's just sheetrock. Your elbow can go through it, So I patted all that too. And, like I said, he wasn't doing it intentionally over there, but he does have similar, like, if he's upset, he'll bang his head, He'll lay on his back and hit it on the floor. Sometimes he would go to
Right.
hit his forehead. Like he knew, like at school, if he'd have a behavior, he would go down to the floor and want to bang his forehead on the floor. That's why he had a
Insomnia.
helmet.
We had no sleep.
Yeah.
She would never sleep. She had even a routine that we had for her. Okay, now it's time to go night night, and no sleep. So it was like it was basically like a hospital, like a jail. So I'll take turn for a couple hours. Edwin would take turns for a couple hours. So we had to be like all night, and
Mhm.
she'll sit there and not sleep like all night and take
I've told
turns and turns.
Teresa and Marianne before, like in a hotel, it's just me and my son.
And she'll have
Like,
cocktail
when
or
he can get out.
medication, and it wouldn't work.
Oh, that's why I was
It
gonna
My
ask if
son,
anything.
I would put a door in front of the a chair in front of the door, because like if there was an emergency or fire department, the fire department would just kick the door and the chair would move. My son doesn't have the ability or coordination to just move a chair away from a door like that. So I felt like if there was an emergency, they can get in, no big deal. But I would sleep in the hotel with my hand around his ankle. Because if I
Yeah.
fell asleep, I'd have my hand on his ankle. Because if I fell asleep, then what happens? But my son
Right.
likes to watch the portable DVD player. So he always has to have the video close by or see it. So if he was asleep and it was charging, he would unplug it and keep nudging me with it, saying, turn the movie on, turn the movie on. So I know he's not going to go too far. But again, that's always the fear. What do you do? Like I said, can I tie a rope around his ankle and my arm, because then I'll feel it, You have to
It's scary.
think outside the box and all these things, because
Right.
those things
It was
always
scary.
worry me.
It's just like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
it-
said at another time. Parents of autistic children have to be very creative,
Right.
very
Yes.
creative, and definitely outside the box
On our
Right.
toes. On our toes.
all the time.
Whenever our son visits, we do have alarms on the doors so that if
Right.
he
Us
the
too.
door is ajar, we hear the tones. Thankfully, recently he hasn't tried to elope away from the house, but when he was living at home, it happened several times. Unfortunately, he was found pretty quickly, but it's always in the back of your mind,
Now, the
he's getting
schools
out,
that they're
and
at,
he has no sense of, personal safety. So
now
Right.
the residential programs, it's because there's alarm, there's always a staff at the door. Is that how
Mhm.
they monitor and they can control that? They see everything that's going on, right? Because there's staff
Right.
that has night shift, day shift, or whatever.
Right. A day shift and a night shift, and the ratio of staff to clients, residents is typically.
What residential, Marianne, your son goes to?
He's at Devereaux.
Oh,
You know,
Devereaux.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Devereaux. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we definitely have to be creative. And I keep saying that. We have to be creative. We have to think, and people don't understand. They really do not understand, because I've had people come up to me and say, you really have to learn how to discipline your child. And it's not that we don't try to discipline. It's just that he's not understanding, or,
Don't you love people like that?
Well, she does go to school. She does. There's in Anderson for autism, there is day program. There is a school where the kids go, and then the residential is
Right.
after.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember that about Anderson
So
School.
that's the Anderson, right? They have school, so she is going to school, and then after that is the residential.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, they really got to the root of the sensory issues that she was having. Because I remember you
No,
telling me that you couldn't
they-
put your hands on her hair to
right.
wash
It's just still right. It's the washing the hair, the hands, anything with her face. She doesn't like no one touching her. Period. She doesn't.
She don't
it's-
like you touching her hands, right? To cut the nails or
Nothing.
anything.
No,
my,
nothing.
My son is like this,
No.
like,
Yeah,
all
and
that.
she
He don't
still
hates that.
and she still does it. She starts screaming like someone's doing something to her, and it's like hard. And then we have like Marianne said, when we visit her, when she comes over, or for the holidays, or we see her, we talk to her on Zoom or on the telephone. So like minimum, like she has no, like she'll say hi mama, and she'll repeat. So she's Echo Elia as well. So anything that we say, she'll repeat.
Mhm.
She doesn't know her surroundings. She doesn't know what's happening. She don't know.
I was overhearing a conversation at the mall, I want to say, and they were talking about this one woman was saying, oh, she goes out during the day because the house is alone now because their child went to a residential home, and some her friend was saying, oh, it can't be much more different than sending your child off to college. And I was thinking to myself, well, no, yeah, it would be, because if your child is going off to college, they have the foresight to see what is right, what is wrong. A child on the spectrum, not always. And it was just such an insensitive thing to say. But I think what she was saying is that she felt that it's heart-wrenching for a parent to let their child go, but I think it came out the wrong way. But yeah, it is. I sympathize with you guys and with parents who have gone through that.
Placing your autism child in a residential home. One of the hardest things autism parents face is having to consider the need for a residential placement. This can be an emotionally heart-wrenching experience. No matter how much we love our child and make every effort to care for them at home, a person with autism may need higher levels of specialized care, support and supervision. Their needs may be better met in a residential setting. While the goal for autism children is to keep them in a community and home environment, at times, this isn't possible, due to safety concerns or the intensity of their needs. A residential setting is one where a child receives 24-hour care and supervision, 7 days a week. A group home is a smaller setting within a community for youths requiring less strict supervision. For adults with autism, moving into a group home, this can be an exciting time of transition.
Thank you, Autis, for providing us with this platform.
And we want to remind everybody that we are mothers. We are not professionals. We're sharing our experiences with you so that you can learn from our experiences.
All our shows can be watched on all social media platforms.
Don't forget, subscribe, like us, and follow us.
Have a good night. See you guys next week.